Everyone wants to rise, but no one wants to struggle, no one wants to hurt, no one wants to be uncomfortable. But that's the very price of growth, the uncomfortable moments, the situations that make you question yourself, the failures that sting more than they should, the early mornings, the lonely nights. The confusion, the silence, all of it is the preparation, it's the fire you must go through to be forged into who you're meant to become. The truth is the version of you that will reach the heights you dream about doesn't live in ease, it lives in effort. It lives in the decision to keep going when it would be easier to stop, to push when standing still feels safer, because comfort is a liar. It tells you to wait, to stay, to rest, but deep down it's stealing your potential moment by moment. It convinces you that it's enough to just get by, but your spirit knows you were made for more, and that more won't be handed to you, it has to be built. And it's built one uncomfortable decision at a time. The world is full of people who want success without sacrifice, who want change without discomfort. But that doesn't exist. Every great leap forward starts with pressure, a situation that stretches you past what you thought you could handle, and it's in that stretch where your future is shaped. Your mind will try to protect you. It will whisper, stay here, don't risk it, you're not ready. But the reality is that fear is not fact and comfort is not clarity. You've got to learn to move even when the doubt is loud, because that's how you get stronger, when you choose to keep going anyway, when you show up regardless of how heavy it feels, when you stay committed, even when your legs are shaking and your heart is tired. That's how champions are made, not by avoiding discomfort, but by walking through it again and again until what used to break you becomes your new baseline. What used to scare you becomes your new normal. That's the nature of progress. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It asks if you're willing to fall, willing to fail, willing to start again, not once, not twice, but as many times as it takes, because this path doesn't reward the most talented. It rewards the most tenacious, the ones who push themselves daily, not for applause or validation, but because they've decided that living beneath their potential is no longer acceptable. The moment you choose growth, you also choose growing pains. It's part of the package. And when you resist it, you delay your rise. Every obstacle, every setback, every delay, every time you feel like things aren't working, that's life asking you how bad you want it. It's testing your resolve, it's measuring your hunger. And every time you push through, you send a signal, not just to the world, but to yourself, that you will not be broken, that you are not one to retreat when things get real. It's not about speed, it's about direction. It's not about looking perfect, it's about showing up anyway, because discomfort is the gatekeeper that separates the dreamers from the doers. And until you learn to walk with discomfort, to invite it, to grow with it, you will remain in the same patterns, wishing for more but working below your capacity. You've got to break that cycle, and the way you break it is not with a sudden moment of motivation, but with consistent intentional discomfort, the kind you choose when you wake up an hour earlier to chase your goal, when you speak the truth even though your voice shakes, when you push through rejection and keep trying anyway. That's the work that compounds, that's the invisible labor that builds unshakable confidence, because you begin to trust yourself, not for what you've accomplished, but for what you've survived, what you've overcome, and that trust becomes your foundation, your inner certainty. And when that's built, nothing outside of you can destroy it. So don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Don't wait for everything to feel right. Don't sit around waiting for the fear to go away. Move in spite of it. That's where power lives. Real power is choosing to do the difficult thing every single day, not because someone's watching, but because you've made a promise to yourself and you refuse to break it. If you want the strength of a mountain, you've got to be willing to stand in the storm. If you want the shine, you've got to be willing to stand in the fire. This is your climb, this is your test. And every time you choose to push instead of pause, every time you choose to rise instead of retreat, every time you choose growth over comfort, you are writing a story of strength, a story of transformation. And in time the world will see what you always knew, that you were never average, you were just waiting for the courage to push yourself and make it happen. There is something every person chasing a dream must realize and accept before they ever reach the finish line. No one is coming to save you, no one is going to build the life you want for you, no one is going to hand you the perfect day. perfect time or the perfect plan, and when you finally understand that you become free, because until that moment you're still waiting for motivation, waiting for someone to understand you, waiting for life to get easier. But life doesn't get easier, you get stronger, and strength is not inherited. It is developed, it is earned, it is carved from the very stone of your discipline. And if you want to change your life, if you want to build something that lasts, if you want to feel that deep peace that only comes from knowing you're living true to your purpose, you must become the fire, you must become the force that drives yourself forward through every resistance, every doubt, every setback, because no matter how much someone loves you, no matter how much others cheer you on, no one can do your push-ups for you, no one can endure your trials for you, no one can fight your inner battles for you. That's your responsibility, that's your burden and your blessing, and as long as you're still outsourcing your hunger to external things, you'll stay stuck wondering why the breakthrough hasn't come yet. But when you take full ownership of your direction and you begin to act from a place of self-leadership, internal fire that cannot be dimmed by opinions or circumstances, that's when the tide begins to turn. You stop looking outward for energy, and you begin to generate it from within. You wake up, not hoping to feel ready, but knowing that action creates readiness. You move because you've made a decision. Not a feeling, not a hope, a decision to show up no matter what, and there is nothing more powerful than a person who has decided to move forward regardless of how they feel, because feelings are fleeting. But commitment is what builds consistency, and consistency is what builds character, and character is what sustains success long after the inspiration fades. Everyone wants to feel inspired, but very few want to become the kind of person who moves without it. But the ones who do, they win, because they've stopped needing the world to clap for them, and they've started clapping for themselves. They've stopped waiting for the doors to open and started building new doors. They've stopped asking for permission and started claiming their place, because the truth is no one is holding you back more than you are. And when you finally stop negotiating with your potential and start demanding more from yourself, everything changes. The excuses fall away, the delays lose their power, the distractions become meaningless, and the clarity of your mission takes over. You begin to see that every moment you hesitate is a moment lost, and every moment you act with intention is a step closer to the life you know you deserve. This is about becoming the kind of person who doesn't quit, the kind who doesn't fold when things get hard, the kind who shows up when it's raining, when it's dark, when no one is cheering, when no one is watching, the kind who builds in silence and lets results speak louder than noise. Because when you stop needing to be motivated, you start becoming unstoppable. This isn't about hype, it's about grit. It's about waking up and pushing yourself to do what needs to be done, whether it feels good or not, because purpose doesn't always feel good, but it always feels right. There will be days where nothing makes sense, days where the pressure feels like too much, days where you question why you even started. And on those days you don't wait for clarity, you create it through movement, through action, through the quiet but powerful decision to keep going. And in time that kind of resolve begins to shape you into someone you no longer recognize, because you've outgrown the version of yourself that needed comfort and stepped fully into the version that lives for the challenge, because that's what you were made for. You weren't made to play small. You weren't made to live a life of waiting. You weren't made to coast. You were made to lead your own life, to build your own way, to claim your own greatness. And that greatness does not come wrapped in ease. It comes wrapped in responsibility, in discipline, and resilience. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you begin to rise. This journey requires that you become the fire, that you stop looking for rescue and become the one who rescues yourself, that you stop hoping and start doing, that you stop doubting and start daring, because no one who ever built something meaningful did it while sitting still. They did it by burning with urgency. They did it by refusing to be passive. They did it by becoming the kind of person who doesn't let fear win and doesn't let time slip through their hands. This is about becoming unshakable, not because life is easy, but because you are determined. It's about building strength, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's about walking through storms and learning to dance in them, because waiting for the weather to be perfect will only leave you behind. You've got to move now. You've got to rise now. You've got to push now, not because everything is in place, but because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes, and the truth is the fire in you right now is enough to light the path if you let it, if you stop hiding it behind hesitation, if you stop covering it with excuses and allow yourself to believe in what you can become. Then nothing can stop you, not time, not failure, not fear, because your fuel will be coming from the inside, from a place the world can't touch. And once that's activated, you no longer beg for success. You become success in motion, not because you're the loudest, not because you're the most gifted, but because you've made the choice to be relentless. And that choice, that fire, that internal push will carry you farther than any handout, any shortcut ever could. So if you want to see the change, if you want to feel that shift, then stop waiting for someone to give you a reason, and become the reason, become the example, become the fire, and make it happen.